Hello, our Bridging the Gap community. Andrew Nicastro, chief streamographer here, but also family member to veterans, which is why we were compelled to start this to talk about veterans and what they deal with. Alongside me, of course, is Dave V with Cape Ann Veteran Services, our special guest, Tiffany. But before we get started getting into everything, we always start with our mission. The mission of our podcast is to quiet the stigma of PTS and mental illness while providing compassion, empathy, and education for the life of a veteran. So we always start also by getting into some calls to action. If we can just bring that up, our friend Isaac in the other room.
Yeah, he's the man behind the curtain.
Thanks,
he's
Isaac.
The man behind the curtain.
He's
Thank
the
you.
man, Isaac, today. And the first one we always talk about is the veteran crisis line. As you can see, it's in the top left there. So you can dial 988, then press 1, or text 838-255, or chat online at their website, veterancrisisline.net, which is 24/7. All of those avenues are 24/7. And whatever you define as a crisis, that's for you to use.
Yeah.
I also want to chime in here and give a quick shout out to our Gloucester Veteran Services office. If you are local to Gloucester or any of our Cape Ann communities, please feel free to give us a call. That is our old number up there. Our new phone number, we'll get that fixed for next time around, 978-325-5730. And then the local Gloucester VA CBOC clinic is also listed up here. So if you are in need of some healthcare services, 781-687-4824 is the line to call. The last number I want to share with you all, and we will go into a lot more detail on what the Lowell Vet Center has to offer. But the Lowell Vet Center, 978-543-1151, and our special guest today will be going into a lot more detail in what resources the Lowell Vet Center can offer.
You can come to us, Isaac, because I don't want it to stay on the blue screen. I kind of like them, audience, to see us. So, man behind the curtain.
Yeah, just click it again, and then that'll go
I don't know
away.
what that means. I'm going to go over the Welcome Home Initiative, which is a veteran of war retreat, and it doesn't have to be veterans of war. The chaplain has let me know that any veteran can come. So that's going to be October 29th to November 1st. It's a scholarship retreat to a beautiful place in the woods in upstate New York. You get free housing, free food, and for the 3 days, we are healing in community together, which is very important. So you can email us at bridgingthegapvetpodcast@gmail.com. You should have taken a picture of that blue screen. If not, pause it, go back to that, and take a picture of it. If you email us and say you want to be on this retreat, I'm going to sign you up and get you in. And it's, like I said, October 29th to November 1st.
Awesome.
And now we have a nice little transition into what are we going to do, V?
So today I'm going to introduce you all to a special guest, Tiffany Lever. Tiffany Lever is our resource contact at the Vet Center. Tiffany is also a fellow female veteran.
Yes.
And Tiffany, take it over.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Earlier years, tell us right before you kind of went in, what were you doing?
So it was, let's say, I'll start with 2001, actually. I went off to college after high school. I was paying my own way. That became like really difficult. So they kind of said, you know, you can't really afford to go here anymore. So you might want to find, you know, a different school to go to. So packed up my stuff and left. But before that happened, I actually, you know, it was, well, let's rewind, actually.
Well, what state were you in?
I was in Virginia. So
Okay.
I'm originally from Virginia, going to school there. You know, 2001, obviously, I would say a lot of people remember 2001 very well, especially 9/11. So I was a freshman in college. I was actually working out in the gym, playing on the radio. Sorry, I am like so disconnected.
It's okay.
Yeah, you're doing amazing.
Take a deep breath.
Yeah.
It's okay, girl.
You're doing
we got
amazing.
you.
So I, you know, was a freshman in college. 9/11 happened. I remember that day very well. I was working out at the gym. Someone was like, "Oh, do you hear the radio? Like planes crashed into the Twin Towers." And I said, "No." Sort of left, you know, finished my workout, left, went back to my room, and actually saw the second plane crash into the tower, and our dorm room, just sort of erupted. People, were really upset, crying, trying to make phone calls. Nobody could make phone calls that day
Yeah.
until much later in the afternoon. I had family in New York. My uncle then was working in the Pentagon. He just so happened to not be there that day.
Wow.
But I just remember after all of that occurred that I remember the conversation we had the next day. It was like a group discussion. People were sort of processing it. Professors were allowing time to process it. And I think the conversation sort of rubbed me the wrong way. And my thought was that I was really mad. I couldn't believe that this happened. And I felt sort of called to do something.
Something
you
more.
know? Yeah. And so if we fast forward a couple of years, 2003, before I was leaving college, I was talking with a friend who was on the cheerleading team with me. He was in the Army National Guard. And so I sort of asked him about that and told him to just put me in contact with the recruiter. So really, really easy, open and shut case
Yeah.
for the recruiter. Signed me up, signed the dotted line. And
That's
I
girl
went
power
in,
right
yeah,
there.
Oh yeah, it is.
September 2003. And I went in as a PFC.
Think about too, V. We talked about yours last time, and there's a spectrum of emotions after 9/11. Some were broken, crying, so sad, empathy, compassion, like how could this happen? Then there was a few of us who had this anger piece and this fire to do something about it and to do more. And that's what you were feeling as you were watching it happen.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think also I think it was the conversations that, and I won't talk about those, but it was just things that people were saying that just made me feel really uncomfortable. Like I felt, I guess more patriotic, more, like this is my country. How could we let this
That's right.
happen to our country?
Yeah, unbelievable. And our man behind the curtain is going to put up some pictures.
I got it right here.
Yeah, well, I guess Andrew, right? You're the man behind the curtain.
And behind the curtain. Yeah.
You were a
Who is
baby there.
that?
I was.
Wow. Tell us about this photo and what was going on and where you were.
Yeah, so I actually don't know where this photo came from.
Looks like in Africa.
How I came across it, I'm like, was I like posing in basic training? Like, what was this?
Well, the netting in the
I
background
know, right? There's
too.
like,
It's like
elephant
all set
grass?
up.
I don't know.
remember mine looking like that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
No idea where this came from. My
Sniper.
mom sent me like all my basic training pictures years ago, so I dug them up and I was like, well, I guess this will work.
Yeah, you look so young. Like we were
Very
babies, right?
We
Oh,
were
Yes.
babies.
We were
so
babies.
That's it. That's
When
the
we won't
reality. Is
talk
we were
about
babies.
how old,
Yeah.
maybe 20.
Well, can I share to the audience that me and my friend are birthday buddies?
Yeah.
We were both born on September 6th.
Yep. Yes.
You were a little bit later than me. I think we're 5 years difference, but we're birthday buddies, September 6th. So that's
Yeah.
something that we found out too, which is awesome.
Mhm.
But she's young, and we all usually, the majority get in young. It's the 18 to 25 range. And we're always there. We're in boot camp going through a training, and we have this fire in us to do more and be more. And that's where you were at.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. I
Wow.
was just trying to think. So I was definitely 20 when
Yeah.
I joined.
Yep.
This is actually at the end of basic training. I got coined by the commander of the post because I had a super high PT score.
Yes,
the
you did.
Highest in our battalion.
Mhm.
So
That's awesome.
that was.
What was your run? What was the run? Is it a 1.5 mile run?
Two
2 mile
Two.
run? What was the
Two
time? Do you
for us.
remember?
I don't.
It was fast, obviously.
It was something around like 15,
Wow.
15,
That's
30,
awesome.
something like that.
And then it was push-ups, sit-ups,
That's
and then the 2 mile run. Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Amazing.
I think that's changed since then.
Has it?
Oh,
yeah, I
yeah,
think
it's
so.
way
I
different
think
now.
that do they include pull-ups in your PT now? I don't remember.
It's called an ACFT, so it's an
Mhm.
Army combat fitness test. So
Mhm.
you're like, you have to run, you have to sprint, you have to actually carry, like
Yeah.
drag
Yes.
someone.
Yes.
You have to
Wow.
do a sort of pull up.
Yep.
My husband talks about it all the time. They have to take this like ball and sort of throw it like a weighted ball
Yeah.
and throw it a certain amount of distance. It's a lot of different components.
It's to
now.
represent more of a stress test instead of the
Well, it's
three.
more realistic
Yeah.
Mhm.
to what you actually would have to
Mhm.
do. I would in combat or
Yeah.
in
Right.
in an emergency
Right.
situation, physically having to carry something as opposed to.
What do you mean? We're not
you
going to
know.
stop them in combat? Say, can we just run 2 miles or do
But wait
pull-ups?
a
Get a
minute,
timeout.
I can do 30 something
Can
push-ups.
I isolate this
Yeah.
pull-up right
No.
now?
Yeah.
No, this is what it's transitioned. I think in all of the military as well.
Mhm.
I think the Marines do it as well. I'm not going to speak for the Marine Corps. It's been a while, but
It's been a while.
taking it back to the picture, she got
Yep.
coined, and now this is probably another
Yes.
officer in
same
the chain
thing,
of command. Yep,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and a few people getting recognized. Snow.
Ugh.
Mhm.
What
Where
are
is
you in
this?
Alaska? What is this?
Well, I'm not a huge fan of snow. I will say that, but
Yeah.
Well, you live in New England.
Yeah, I
you
know,
did
yeah.
from Virginia to New England.
Yeah.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
This is actually in Kosovo.
Yeah.
So 2006, my unit in Virginia, well, actually, it was a bunch of us gathered together to make a unit, all different MOSs, different backgrounds. We created a unit called Liaison Monitoring Team. We had all sorts of fun nicknames. I won't describe those, but we deployed to Kosovo 2006 to 2007. But this was the first team that I was with in Kosovo. It was actually a multinational team.
Mhm.
We were made up of like a team of 11, 12. Our team leader was an officer. This instance, mine was a Ukrainian officer.
Okay.
And we had a Ukrainian sergeant, 2 of those on the team, but we were like at smaller fire
Right.
teams also. And interpreters, of course.
Mhm.
Kosovo is made up of Albanians and Serbians.
Yeah.
So we had to have 2 interpreters generally with us at all times.
Yeah.
Just a quick question. Interpreters, are they usually, from the country that you're working in, or are they a part of the U.S. military?
It's a
No,
good
they're
question.
For us in Iraq, they
Yeah.
were from the country.
Yeah.
Mhm. It's like yes and yes. Some of them
Are
can be in
American?
uniform and be American and be contracted over,
Yes.
and then they also can be from the country and contracted over. So it's multiple ways they get linguists in country to be with you. And just to
Mhm.
speak on Kosovo, I was also there. It's like a peacekeeping mission, but it is a
Yes.
combat zone.
Yep.
Started in approximately 99 when ethnic
Mhm.
Albanians, Serbs, Kosovo, the former Yugoslav
Soviet.
Republic of Macedonia, FIROM, like this whole part of the world was just exploding and just blowing up. And it's like you said, the peacekeeping mission and multinational NATO, European Union getting involved so we could all do it together.
Mm.
Instead of one country, America, go in, we try to do this together.
Right.
And we're seeing people from different nationalities and different militaries represented in this picture.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, one is Ukraine. That's a really awesome photo.
Yeah, it's
and it's
cool.
not warm there sometimes.
Yeah, it
Sometimes
doesn't
it's
look it.
cold.
Yeah, it's like
Clearly.
comparable to Virginia, I think.
Okay.
I remember talking about that it was like comparable
Yeah.
to where we lived.
Mhm.
I was like, okay, but
What is next, Andrew?
Yeah,
What do we
yeah,
got?
yeah. Just click the button.
Ooh, look at the snow's gone.
Yeah, this was like the second team that I was with during that deployment because it was actually 17 month deployment. And so I was with a much larger team, and our interpreters are also there.
Top
too.
of the mountain, am I looking at? So it's
Yeah.
elevation.
Yeah,
the
it was
snow's
very
gone.
mountainous.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There.
Have you met your husband yet? I'm sorry, I have to say it out loud, but I feel like you met him in Kosovo at some point.
I did, yeah. I met him.
But he's not in this picture.
Nope, he's not in
or
this picture.
He wasn't in the other one.
Okay.
No. I did meet him there. His actual unit was from Massachusetts.
Mhm.
That's kind of how I ended up
Mhm.
here. But his unit was our base security. So they did
Yeah.
tower guard duty, gate guard duty
Mm-hmm.
for a fob that
Yeah.
I was on.
Andrew, not a key fob.
What's
Not
a,
a key
what's a
fob.
fob,
I
Andrew?
cannot remember, but I
Forward
know it's not a
operating
key
base.
fob.
For a fob there in Kosovo.
Love it. The helos. You're in a helo.
Yes, yeah, we were
Yeah.
actually surveilling like the area that we did conducted our like operations in
Yeah.
that day. That was actually a fun day. So
Did you guys go on a run? He's wearing like a marathon number or something. What'd you do?
yeah, so this was a satellite because it's a peacekeeping mission.
Yeah.
It's a satellite Army 10 miler.
Okay. Wow.
So we ran the Army 10 miler. I actually did really. I was impressed with myself.
Of course, you're the superwoman. You already
I
won
know.
the physical fitness award of the battalion.
I did like physical fitness back on the day, not so much anymore.
So you were one of those that love to run.
Yeah.
Oh, I
yeah.
did.
Oh,
Yes, if I
right.
could still do that, I would.
Yep.
most
That was the
definitely.
one thing that I
Oh,
loathed
Did you struggle
running.
at it? Were you good
But-
at it?
No, I was fine at
Yeah,
it. I
you just
wasn't
hated it.
awful. I was good at PT. It was just I just hated running. I physically just hated running, and I said I'll never run again. And
And have you stuck to it?
no, I actually do run.
She didn't stick to it.
Yeah,
I do run.
therapeutic. Oh, okay. So we're fast forwarding a lot of years.
What is this one?
So this is actually train up at Fort Hood before
yeah.
my second deployment in
Mm.
Afghanistan.
Mm.
So came home from Kosovo in 2007, moved up to Massachusetts 2008, transferred from the Virginia Guard to the Massachusetts Guard. Still doing the same MOS, which
Mhm.
was actually human resources.
Mhm.
Prior to that, it was 42 Lima, but that's because I was old, and that's how old the MOS, and they had to like join two together and
Right.
get a better one, I guess. So yeah, lived here. We were getting ready to deploy to Afghanistan. Had a conversation with my husband, and we decided that we were going to go together.
Mhm. Wow.
So we both were preparing to deploy in 2010. But if we rewind a little bit, after I moved up here in 2008, I found out that I was pregnant
Mhm.
with my first daughter.
Yeah.
And that was like quite a change. It was
Mhm.
exciting though.
Right.
We were both really excited. And so 2010 rolls around, we find out that we're deploying. She's 2.
Wow.
So yeah, when I talk about what was really hard for me on deployment,
Mhm.
what like really affected me, what I experienced firsthand is being away from my daughter.
You had
Yeah,
to leave a
yeah,
part
I
of you
can't imagine.
behind. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, she was two and a half when we left, and we left for a whole year.
Yeah.
And you left her with family, relatives.
Yeah, so she stayed primarily with my in-laws.
Mhm.
So forever grateful for what they did for
Mhm.
us. Knowing that she was safe and well taken care of definitely helped, but that didn't stop me from crying myself to
No,
sleep
absolutely
Every
not.
night.
Well,
Yeah.
and
No, absolutely.
that's why we're doing this podcast, because
Mhm.
even as a civilian, I've got a 15-month-old and a 10-year-old. For me to be away from them for that period
Right.
of time hurts my soul.
Because you travel for
just
work.
thinking
on the
about it,
weekends.
and that's just for long weekends.
That's right.
Mhm.
It hurts
1
my soul
year.
just to think about it. So
1
imagining
year.
a whole year
One
Yeah.
year.
gives me a connection in
Mhm.
some way.
Right.
We still have
Yeah.
we still can't comprehend what you've gone through, but at least there's a little bit of that understanding, even just a hair of it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's why we're doing this.
Yeah, and you said the daycare as well as your in-laws were amazing support.
Yes, and I will definitely give a shout out to the daycare Magical Beginnings. She went to the one
Yes.
in Wakefield, and they took care of her as if she were, was their
Mm.
own.
Their own, yeah.
Sent me pictures. I won't forget. I got a little video or a picture, and it was like, what are you doing, Grace? And she's like, I'm texting my mom.
Aw.
So I definitely got a lot, from them, and knew that she was doing well with my in-laws and with the daycare.
Mhm.
So that was definitely,
It's
Yeah.
good. It's good that you had a good, strong support group that you can
Yeah.
rely on that
yes.
would take care of your baby.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
because not every time, not all the times does an individual have that sort of support
Right.
system.
That's right.
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 That's right.
So-
So Andrew, moving along with
Yep,
this
yep.
slide, I feel like there's a
Next.
phoenix coming soon. There's
yes.
there's your buddy Adam. There's
That's hubby.
there's hubby. Yeah, that's amazing to see a photo. And again, V and her husband were deployed together as well. So to see them together and doing life together in a war zone, because a war zone's hard enough,
Yeah.
but doing it with the one you love, is it easy? Is it hard? Is it mixed emotions?
Well, I definitely say, and when I talk about the deployment, he was definitely my rock.
Yeah.
If he had not been there,
Mm,
um, I don't know if I would have been able to
Mhm.
like go through it.
yeah.
You know, there are obviously, you know, a lot of different things happened on the deployment. Um, you know, transitions with different roles that, you know, I had to do, whether, you know, it was him leaving Camp Phoenix where we stayed, or, you know, doing different jobs. Like, you know, sometimes um, we would flip flop and have to do different shifts for tower guard duty,
Yeah.
you know, when we'd sort of pass each other. But I still have to be so thankful that I was actually to see him
Yeah.
every day.
Mhm.
I didn't get to stay with him for most of the deployment,
Right.
but our then Sergeant Major actually took on priority to sort of create a policy where we could stay together.
Oh, amazing.
Which, you know,
Wow.
most would
That's
not
right. Most.
Mhm.
That's right.
at all.
Yeah.
So we were very lucky in that way to
Mm.
be able to stay with one another on the deployment.
Right.
Mhm.
And Adam is a Malden kid, so hey, brother.
He
Malden,
is.
that's because we shared that, and he's from the city. That's why she went from Virginia up here, where she doesn't love the cold, but she
Yes.
moved for Adam,
She
so
did
it's
it for
really
him.
cool.
Did
That's right.
moved for love.
All right, another photo, and this is Camp Phoenix.
Yep. This is actually my team together before we went out. It was like a vehicle operations. We were getting vehicles fixed, so
Yeah.
we had to
Mhm.
bring them to different locations.
Yep, and
Mhm.
I'm familiar with Phoenix, as I was right down the street at the downtown Kabul at the embassy compound,
Mm-hmm.
and we used to come to Phoenix because I had shared with Tiffany that I loved the pizza they had on.
That's I just can't
I
believe
know, I
that's
know.
what you picked.
We would, well, because you're in a war zone and you don't get pizza, so we would drive from our compound to get pizza down at Camp
I'm not
Phoenix.
They
gonna
wouldn't
lie.
deliver?
The first
They
time we
wouldn't
went to,
deliver.
I think it was Anaconda or something in Iraq. The first time I laid eyes on, it was a frozen pizza. I mean, I
It
could
didn't matter,
tell-
did it?
didn't matter how good or how bad the
pizza.
pizza was. It is the most amazing pizza
Yeah.
you've ever eaten in a year.
Yeah, and the Phoenix though was that base which everybody knew it was a military base. In and out come military vehicles. The road is a long road that goes from Kabul to Jalalabad, which is Jabad, which is another dangerous city. So I want to highlight how this Camp Phoenix was a highlighted spot for Taliban and anyone else that wanted to hit them to hit this base. And specifically, Tiffany had shared a story with us about an up armored vehicle that they would use quite a bit, a bus. And she was on it one time with Neil Armstrong and astronauts.
Yes,
Can you
yeah.
kind of go into that story?
Yeah. So we, like I said, we did lots of different jobs there.
Yep.
This time we had to do PSD, which is personal security detail, for Neil Armstrong and a couple other astronauts, because they came, you know, as an MWR event
Yeah.
to Afghanistan. So I actually got to eat lunch with him.
Were you
Wow.
like fangirling?
I don't know if I was, as much as I watched SF guys be fangirling.
I can see that.
Special Forces, Andrew.
Yeah, I
can
was
see
like,
that.
wow.
In my head, I was like,
Well, they were fangirling or fanboying.
Oh, wow.
They- all of it.
You never know.
All of
yeah.
it. That is crazy. I might have done
That's
that
a
too.
sensitive
Though, so.
topic.
I would.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
But
would.
yeah, it was definitely a really amazing experience to be able to do that, to meet them and provide security.
Right.
We went to all the different camps in the Phoenix area, or in Kabul area.
Yeah.
Mm.
So think about that. There's Neil Armstrong and astronauts, not combat vets. Actually, Neil Armstrong was a Marine, I believe. So he was a combat vet. But you don't have to be a combat vet to be on the roads of Kabul or Afghanistan in a war zone.
Right.
Mhm.
And I remember people would come over, like you said, MWR event. They're going to look around the certain area of Kabul, get their boots on the ground, and they need a personal security detail to take them in the armored vehicles and drive them around. And that was your team that day.
Yep. Yeah. We drove them around in the up armored bus.
Yeah.
Which was, you know, you can see that thing coming a mile
Yes, you
away.
can. It's a
So,
huge target.
Yeah.
Huge target.
Mm.
And you didn't get hit,
No, I did not.
but soon
Very
after,
lucky.
Mhm.
a different team that went out did get
Did
hit.
get hit.
Yes, they did. Yep. And when I was going through some of my pictures, we had the memorial for them, and it was 5 service members, Air Force and Army, and then the combat stress dog that were all on the up armored bus that day. that were hit with a VBID.
Yeah.
So vehicle-borne improvised explosive device.
Yep.
And all of them did not
Perished.
survive.
That's right. You can't help but feel the survivor's guilt. You know, I was just there. How did it get? How not me?
That could have been me.
That's right.
Mhm.
Seeing the memorial of the weapons upside down, the bayonets, the boots, the dog tags, you're destroyed. And you can't be completely destroyed because you're still at war and you got mission to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely like a reminder of, where I am, what's going on.
This is real life.
Yeah,
Mhm.
keep your head on a swivel.
Yeah.
It's conversations that I had with my husband.
Mhm.
Anytime either one of us left Camp Phoenix,
Yeah.
be, attention to detail,
Mhm.
like, your training, remember your training,
Right.
do what you were trained to do.
Right. Andrew, what's do we have more photos? I feel like we have a John Kerry photo in there somewhere. It was
Yeah.
coming. There he is.
Yeah.
Getting pinned.
So, yep, I was promoted to E6, and I don't even know how it happened. I guess he just so happened to be around, and it was right around the time that I was able to be promoted, and I was asked, "Do you want Senator Kerry to pin you?" And I was like,
Sure.
"Sure." Like,
Yeah.
why
Of
would I
course
not?
not.
Right.
So yeah, he pinned me. This was in 2011.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
2011.
And if I hit next, I know it's just the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
It's-
Oh, yeah,
This is her
that-
with her
It's
husband.
been,
Yeah.
yep. Yeah, he I think I actually remember um posting this on Facebook after it happens. And writing like Senator Kerry gets to talk to the coolest married couple.
That's awesome. Not many can do that, can
No,
they?
they
That's
can't.
great. Oh,
and I
But yeah.
believe that was the last.
yeah.
I
and-
believe
That's
it
and
was.
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing those with us.
beautiful.
Yeah.
And me and V love to talk about struggles that women can have in uniform.
Mhm.
So you were a staff sergeant, which means you did 10 to 11 years. You did a good amount of time.
Yep.
What were some struggles that you had in uniform being a woman?
Yeah, I guess, it was the constant feeling of making sure that I measured up, to my male counterpart.
Mhm.
But I don't know, I felt sort of obligated to do that. I wanted to be equal, if not better, than my
Right.
male counterpart. So I always, tried to work harder, and, be better than my male counterpart.
Mhm.
And in my head, it was to earn the respect of my male counterpart.
Yeah.
Right. We have to, as females, we have to try that much harder. But it's more for ourselves, for our own gratification, knowing that I can do, what you're doing and then some,
Right.
so that I can be seen as an equal.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Did they still see you as an equal, even though you excelled physically and you always stood out, getting promoted, awards? Did your higher leadership see you as equal?
Well, I would say that it was more of my fellow comrades that definitely respected me.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
More of, enlisted soldiers that I worked side by side with. It was a little bit different as far as my, leadership, because I think, and it was more that I saw this on deployment,
Mm-hmm.
that I was like seen as that they had to make sure that I was taken care of or looked
Mhm.
out for.
Right.
And, may have acted like a father figure in a way to
yeah.
me.
Mhm.
That was definitely really hard to navigate because I left home when I was 17.
Mm-hmm.
And
You've been independent most of
Yeah.
your life.
and I had, I have a daughter, and
Mhm.
I actually have a stepdaughter
Yeah.
at that point when I was deployed. I'm actually like a
Mhm.
grown,
Right. Stop treating me like that.
yeah.
Treat me like a soldier.
Yeah,
not
I was
like
going
a
to say a
daughter.
grown ASS woman. I wasn't sure if I could say that, but
Except I don't know if Andrew does the bleep
Yeah.
censor when we do this,
Yeah.
but
But yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I felt.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think those were, two of the things for me. But, talking about like working harder, it's not something that I actually, it didn't bother me as much
Mhm.
Yeah.
because I liked knowing that, what I did,
Mhm.
who I was, earned the respect of, my fellow comrades, and they, worked with me and saw
Yeah.
me for who I was,
Mhm.
not just a
Mhm.
woman,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
but that I was another soldier.
Yeah. And on top of that, you're a mother.
Yeah.
You're a mother, so you have that added stress that you have someone back home that you are constantly thinking of, but
Mm.
still mission mode.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, as a mother, like, yes, obviously men deploy, men have kids too.
I've said this
and,
before.
It's different,
Mhm.
yeah.
It's
they,
different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
of
it
course.
is, and I don't know if it's more about like the societal pressures that we put on, you know, our gender roles.
Mhm.
You know, because people would see it differently.
Mhm.
But I always say, you know, my, you know, male soldiers leave, you know, and deploy, and they have kids too.
And they do, but they have their loved ones, they have their girlfriends, their partners, their
It's
wives
different.
home taking care of the children,
Mhm.
where we are actively deployed
Right.
right alongside you.
Mhm.
You cannot take care of the children, but your mind, you cannot shut your
Mm.
brain off in the
Right.
same capacity that, I'm sorry, that
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
of men cannot.
I mean, let's
Yeah.
not forget, you spent 9 months building a relationship with this little
Mm.
human.
Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Even prior to
Yeah.
us
Yeah.
even seeing or feeling or
Yeah.
touching,
That's
you're,
right.
you're one being
Mhm.
for 9 months.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah.
And so
So-
there's no doubt your connection,
Mhm.
in my opinion, I guess, is deeper than a male's would be, just naturally,
Yeah.
Yeah.
for the most part.
And you get to 11 years. She's picked up Staff Sergeant E6, and
Mhm.
she's over the halfway mark to retire. And it's a huge decision now.
Yep.
Do I continue and do the 20, or
Mhm.
do I get out? That is a huge
Mhm.
mark over the 10 years as an E6.
It was. I was in for 12 years, and it was like the end of both. Like I had already reenlisted once, so
Right.
this would be coming up again, and it was very, very hard decision.
Yeah.
I thought about it and didn't make the decision until the very last minute, but it weighed on a lot of things. There was, you know, whether I would, you know, further my career and look for the promotion to E7, whether I was going to be able to handle another deployment and be away
Mhm.
from my
Right.
daughter again, because, you know, the Guard actually, you know, contrary to what people believe, the Guard is on like a 4-year rotation. Our units here, at least in Massachusetts, deploy every 4 years.
Mhm.
Mm.
So there was a good possibility that I could have 2 more deployments in front of me.
Mhm.
And it really came down to me not wanting to do that again.
Yeah. And you made the decision to leave. So you come and transition from military life back to civilian life. What did you do?
So let's see, where was I at that point? So I'll rewind a little bit. And when I came back from Afghanistan, I went back to school. I went to Salem State
Okay.
and got my bachelor's degree
Mhm.
in sociology, double minored criminal justice, and Spanish. Not fluent, so don't ask.
I was gonna,
You
gonna try?
I was gonna whip out the Spanish and see if you responded.
I was just going to listen. So.
um,
Any work too while doing this?
yeah, so I was working part time while going to school.
Unbelievable.
It really is.
And doing all of that.
And a
When did you
mom
sleep?
And a wife.
Yeah.
And a
When
mom
did you
and a
sleep?
wife.
That's what I'm
It's
saying.
probably when I got my best sleep.
Unbelievable.
But yeah, so I did that, and then I was actually working part time near the end of my degree at Salem Veteran Services.
Yeah.
Mhm.
With the still VSO that's there,
Kimmerling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love Kim.
Yep, he's fantastic.
He really is.
So I did that. And then once I graduated, I needed a full-time job. So I worked a very short stint at Veterans Northeast Outreach Center as a case manager. An opportunity opened up for me at Social Security.
Okay. Okay.
So I took that opportunity and worked there as a federal employee. I did that for a little over 2 years and kind of found an opening, heard about an opening at the vet center. Because while working at Social Security, I realized that I really wanted to work with veterans
Yeah.
again, and that it was like my true calling.
Mm.
I wanted to be able to help, you know, my brothers and sisters. And I realized this because I was actually working with other veterans that worked at Social Security, getting them connected to their
Right,
benefits.
right.
And I was like, oh, I actually like this a lot more
Yeah.
than this. So that's when I left Social Security and took a very large pay cut. Um, won't talk about how much, but it was pretty big.
Yeah.
My husband was kind
All
of
for your
mad.
sanity and for the love of what your calling is going to be.
Definitely. I was actually commuting a little over an hour each way too, so
Wow.
that reduced my commute by a lot.
Yeah.
And it was that, but working with veterans, it just seemed the right time for me to make that move, and so I began working at the Lowell Vet Center.
2017 sound about right? What I have in the notes, you started working there?
2016,
2016.
actually.
Okay.
And I remember this because it was Halloween. I started October 31st, 2016.
Oh, that's cool.
So kind of tell us, you're there 2016, you're at the Lowell Vet Center. It's your new forever job.
Yeah.
You love it. It's a big pay cut.
Yep.
And you're working with people, leaders in certain positions. Rich Barbados is right.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Yeah. So I was working, obviously, the vet center, and I'll get to exactly what we do.
Yeah.
But,
Absolutely.
counseling is our main thing, and worked with social workers, psychologists. But when I came in as an admin specialist. Then our office manager retired. I was asked to fill her role. And after that, our outreach specialist, actually then Rich Barbado, he was taking on a bigger role within the organization and transitioned out of outreach. And I was asked by the director if I wanted this opportunity as the outreach specialist.
Wow.
And at that point, actually, I went back to school again and was working on my master's.
Okay, so
in
master's
social
degree
work.
now.
So on top of all that, you're gonna throw in another degree.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't.
That's a tough
sometimes
program,
I
too.
don't know what I was thinking, but
It's amazing.
yeah, I went back and got my master's in social work. So I wasn't sure if that was something I was ready to do because I was having to hold down a full-time job,
Right.
be a mom, be a wife, and with my program, it was a Friday nights and Saturdays.
It's a 3-year program.
Wow.
Yeah, at Boston University, and I had to do internship hours too.
And that program is very mentally involved as well, right? I mean, if I remember correctly, Adam went through the same program recently, and there's a lot about yourself that you learn through that program.
Yeah, I would say that the program really teaches you how to self-reflect, and that's probably where I spent a lot of time processing all the things that I never processed from serving, from early on from my Kosovo deployment to deployment to Afghanistan, being away from my daughter. Like that is where I really learned about who I was, and sort of what my limits.
So 2 years after you got out of the service is when you really started processing, roughly.
Yeah,
Really
I guess
started
so.
processing, what your experience was. So sometimes the transition isn't as straightforward when you get out of the service. You don't automatically, develop post-traumatic stress, or you don't automatically start having troubles with transitioning into the civilian world.
Yeah.
It happens over time when there's a large shift in what is happening with you internally and personally.
And Tiffany didn't know she was going to process all of this. You spoke in your testimony what worked for you, and it was the mindfulness and the yoga. For me, it was trauma retreats. It was trauma therapy.
Yeah. But to me, it was something that helped me. The yoga and the meditation for me was more learning to love myself again. So I didn't even realize that I didn't love myself until I started doing that.
Right. And you're processing now in your master's degree at BU, and it's just all coming out.
Yeah, it is. And it was actually a pretty healthy way, I think, compared to what others may experience.
Yeah.
But the cohort, that's what I reference, is the same group of people that we went through the program with.
Yeah.
They were really amazing. We actually happen to have an all-women cohort of all different ages. So other mothers, other, even family members of veterans. I had a couple of veterans in the cohort with me. So it was actually really, really amazing experience. A lot of work, a lot of stress, exhaustion. but yeah, that was 2017 is when I started that program. And after, a little bit of going back and forth, I did decide, that I will transition into the outreach role.
Yeah.
Um, and it looked a lot different. It wasn't like an automatic takeover. There was still, the gap of being the office manager and not having that, person to be there. So I sort of did a little bit of everything, and going to school and doing my internship hours. So I was working a
Right.
lot during the
Yeah.
next couple of
I want
years.
to highlight too that you got to a point where you were doing your degree, full-time job, a mom, a wife, processing your life's work, and it got to a point for you where it got really hard,
Oh, yeah.
and you were ready to quit. And
Mhm.
a veteran whom you are married to
Well,
came to your support.
He's not a veteran. He's still active.
Oh, is he active?
yeah,
Oh,
he's
he was
still in.
He's
active.
active.
He's still in, yeah.
He's still
Yeah.
in.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
okay, so a man you
Yeah.
served with, also served with in life, said something to you and supported you in that moment.
Yeah, I definitely got to a point where I said that I was ready to quit.
Yeah.
And he looked at me and he's like, "You've never quit anything, so
Mhm.
why would you do that now?" And I was like, "Okay, I guess I have to now."
That's all you needed, right?
That's all you needed. Just
Just
that little
support.
motivation, that
Yeah.
little support. Yeah.
He picked you up.
You just knew
Yeah,
the
he
right thing to
did.
say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, he should. He knows me very well.
Well done, Adam. Well
Well,
done.
you're married to
Don't know
him.
you, but
Yes,
well done.
Yes, yeah. I would definitely say we have been there for each other through a lot. So we know what to do when we need to do it.
That's good. That's a healthy relationship right there.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So here we are talking about you are in the Lowell Vet Center now,
Mhm.
and talking about what is the Lowell Vet Center,
Mhm.
what do you do?
Yeah, tell us.
Yeah, now we want to know all about it.
Okay, yeah. So actually, my favorite part, not talking about myself.
I think
I
that's
knew that.
everybody.
I
That's
knew that.
everybody.
Yeah, we know.
But yeah, so the Vet Center is a mental health counseling center, community based. We work with veteran service members and their families. We provide individual, group, family, and couples counseling. We really work with veterans and service members to, make a plan to work on goals that they want to
Yeah.
achieve, whether it's transitioning from a deployment or transitioning from the military. We try to create an environment for them where they're comfortable, and find that, the environment at the vet center is a place where they can easily connect with their counselor and feel comfortable to talk about what they've experienced. We create really what I would call a community, a network community. My role as an outreach specialist is to work with community partners like yourself, to sort of advocate for veterans' needs, to create a greater support system,
Yeah.
for veteran service members and their families.
So, the Lowell Vet Center or any vet center, there's a stigma associated for veterans with seeking services, especially counseling services, mental health services. What makes the Lowell Vet Center an approachable place to
Yeah.
be, or an approachable place to go?
Yeah, well, that's something actually we work really hard in our vet center, but I think in every vet center, is creating a place when you walk in, it feels like home. And that is done in a couple different ways. Some of my team members are service members or veterans themselves, so they understand the common military or veteran experience. We also have non-traditional hours, so a veteran or service member can make it an appointment early morning or late in the evening, outside of the standard 8 to 4:30 or 9 to 5 hours.
Yeah, it's such a good question because I've been to West Roxbury, I've been to Jamaica Plain,
It's
I've been to
intimidating.
Bedford. They're hospitals, and it can be
It's
intimidating.
very intimidating.
There's a lot of people, just the hospital feel, and you're telling us that's not what it feels like or looks like
Yeah,
at your
it's
center.
non-medical setting,
Amazing.
a smaller community-based location too. So you walk in and it just looks different. It
Right.
doesn't look like a hospital.
Mhm.
And I guess for me, being the family plug,
Yeah.
family members can feel comfortable and safe going into the vet center
Hmm.
and seeking support, advice, just someone to talk to as well. It's a safe place for them too.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is safe for family
Yeah.
members, safe for veterans, safe for service members.
Mm,
Comfortable, relaxed setting.
it's amazing.
We have um, confidential records,
Mm-hmm.
meaning that the VA, the DoD, military units, or community providers can access our records.
Yeah.
So the only way they could do that is if the veteran or service member signs a release.
That's great to
Mhm.
hear. Because some veterans, females, might struggle with men in the military or the military itself or that hospital setting. This is a place they can feel comfortable going, or men in general, anybody,
Mhm.
any veteran can feel comfortable coming to this place and not feel like the government or Department of Defense or the VA is hovering
Right.
over
It's
them.
like keeping
They don't
tabs.
That's
feel
amazing
as
to
they're being
hear.
exploited.
Right.
Or,
Right, 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 right.
Yeah, so they can
Exactly.
come get, counseling in a non-judgmental
Yep.
setting.
Mhm.
So I'm a broken veteran. I'm coming home from war. How do I get connected? How do I come see you?
So, well, you can just walk in at
Okay.
10 George Street, where we're located in Lowell. You can connect through your town VSO or city
Okay.
VSO,
Mhm.
like V.
Yep.
Or you can call me at the vet center, or you can just call the vet center in general and say, you would like to come in and, sort of see
Yeah.
what kind of ways I can receive support. Because that can be in many different ways.
Yep.
Could be one-to-one counseling, group counseling. Maybe you have a few questions about benefits. And that's where, we make these community partnerships. Yep.
Relationships.
Yeah.
Where I might have a veteran come in and they're seeking, individual counseling, but also don't know about the welcome home
Mhm.
bonus or other
Right.
state benefits. And I say, actually, let me connect you to your
Mhm.
town VSO
Mhm.
and we'll, get them connected right away. We really, um, work to cover the whole veteran,
Mhm.
get them the services they need, whether it's counseling or information about benefits, group counseling.
Yeah.
We really try to, help them create a plan that will help them succeed in the military and in their civilian life.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I loved a conversation that you and V had when V asked the question
Mhm.
about a certain character of discharge. If someone was
Yeah.
discharged from the military in a certain way, which Bedford would not take them on, or certain.
Right. There's a lot of services that are out there, but they all have some sort of criteria
Right.
or character of discharge that they
Mhm.
have to oblige by, and it's oftentimes the people who have a less than honorable
Right.
or other than honorable discharge or dishonorable discharge that are in need of these types
Sure.
of services the most.
That's right.
So is that something that you have specific criteria for to become eligible to seek services?
No, we don't. Actually, you can come
Wow.
to the vet center regardless of your discharge
Mhm.
character. You don't have to be enrolled in VA healthcare. You
Mhm.
don't have to have a service connection, and our services are actually free.
Amazing. This
So,
is why the Lowell Vet Center stands out.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't like to compare the
Amazing.
rest, but other than the rest, this is why this is happening and why
Yeah.
we're exposing and bringing to the light the Lowell Vet Center, your story, which brought you in here to tell this, because people
Mhm.
need to hear this. Men and women veterans need to hear this, and families.
yeah.
It's an amazing, one of my favorite podcasts. I know I say it every time, but it's one of my favorite podcasts.
Mhm.
We started this podcast 9 months ago. This is our 9th episode
Mhm.
because 22 a day was a number which Kim had said we don't want to label anything 22 a day because a certain veteran with suicidal ideologies might say I'm one of them, 22 a day.
Mhm.
But what I love when we met was that you had updated us on something.
Oh, yes, that it's actually 17 a day.
Mhm.
How about that?
Yeah.
It's big.
From 22 a
Big.
day,
Mhm.
the number has been researched and done again, and it's down from 22 to 17. And I had asked, why? Why is that down? And you had mentioned combinations of certain things that are working.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I forgot that we talked about
Right.
this.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just talking to someone else this morning, and we were talking about how suicide prevention, suicide awareness is not just one thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a multitude of
Yes.
things. Connecting directly to veterans, providing places where they can connect with other veterans, connecting with them before they get out of the military. There's lots of different ways that suicide prevention, sort of takes shape.
Yeah, absolutely. You had
Yep.
said it's multifaceted, it's a combination.
Mm-hmm.
And the vet centers and the VA recognizing the 20-year in Afghanistan
Mm-hmm.
created approximately 2.5 million veterans. And we're starting to learn that podcast, vet centers, exposing it all and the combination of it all,
Yeah.
saying it out loud.
Bringing it all to light
Yeah.
and taking away the stigma that's
That's right.
associated with it.
Yeah, we can
That's-
say it, suicidal, homicidal, the spectrum in
Mhm.
between, all the things we feel and think. It's real and it's crushing them, but let's expose it to the
Mhm.
light.
Mhm.
And that's what we're doing. You have a call to action. If you were to look at which camera, Andrew? That one
She
right
should
there?
look at the one next to V.
Look at the one next to it. You're going to
Yeah.
tell the veterans out there about an ending call to action. What would you like from them, or speak for the Lowell Vet Center?
So, if you're a veteran, service member, or family member of a veteran, and would find yourself in a situation that you need support, you can reach out to a vet center. We actually have 7 in Massachusetts. You could call any one of those. You can Google vet center, and I promise the first link will come up. It's the closest one to you, and you can call them and get connected to us. You don't have to do it by yourself.
Yeah.
We
Mhm.
have outreach specialists like myself who have served. We have counselors. Some of those have served who can help you, work through the transition that you are experiencing, whether it's from the military or from a deployment. And we're here, and we want to talk to you. We want to help you and get you to a point in your life where you're reaching the goals that you have set for yourself.
Perfect.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
veterans,
Beautiful.
we love you. We don't want you taking your life. We want to keep lowering that number. 17 is not low enough.
Mm-hmm.
We
One
want it
is
to be
too many.
That's right. We want it to
Mhm.
be all the way down. Don't do it. Don't sit in the dark on your own. We don't want you addicted, self-harming. Definitely that thought process and the roller coaster ride of emotions, unable to breathe, the pain inside. We need to expose it. Be in community, whether it be the coffee socials on
Veterans Coffee
Friday.
Social.
That's
You
right,
do
on
not
Friday
have to do
mornings.
anything alone.
Connect.
Mhm.
Walk into V's office and connect with veterans, because we don't want you taking your life. We care too much about you, your family, this community. That's why this podcast is happening. We want to say the hard things out loud, not hide it anymore. So we love you. Connect with us. We always have the crisis line, and we always have the Bridging the Gap Vets podcast at gmail.com. If you want to talk to Via, myself, or Andrew, or anything, we will get you connected. So we love you, and we don't want you to be hurt. So
And family members, you don't have to do it alone either.
Mhm.
Reach out to the vet center for help. Call V. Go
Call
to
me,
the
I will
coffee
redirect
socials.
you to the vet center.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
You know, I went to one of the coffee
Mhm.
socials, and it was just great to talk to veterans.
Yeah.
The coffee socials are for everyone. There's a big misconception that it is only for veterans. Our local veterans coffee social is open to anyone. So if a
Mhm.
family member has a loved one that they're concerned about and they want to just come in and just experience what the coffee environment is like, they're welcome to come in and converse with fellow veterans, kind of get a feel for what it is that we do, maybe develop or establish a relationship with myself or anyone in there, to kind of help open that door for that veteran or that individual that is in need of additional services.
Mhm.
So it is just a little stepping stone to kind of help
Exactly.
guide you towards something better. You should not be alone
That's
ever.
right, never.
Exactly.
Substance use is never the answer, and again, never being alone is
No.
never the answer.
We're a team.
Mhm.
We're a team. Vets, we stick together, even the active duty, your husband,
Mhm.
but Andrew and the community and family, we're now a whole team taking these numbers and the suicide, depression, anxiety, taking it down together. And that's why we're here. That's why we're doing this.
Mhm.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank you
Tiffany.
so
having
You did
much.
awesome.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Great job.
So that's episode 9 in the books here, folks. We
Check it
thank
out.
you all so much.
See you next month.
See you next month.
See you next month.
Thank you all.